Hi, I'm Michael. You must be here for the shop tour. Come on in. One of the things that is one of my favorite features is that the workshop has all of this fantastic natural light. We have a actual storefront as our workshop, so we have great display windows all along the front. Alright, so when we were first building the space, one of the local country clubs was redoing their locker room, so we had the opportunity to get all of these lockers. So we built a locker wall here, and we used this for a lot of our more segmented storage. Things like different hardwares, robotics and electrical, pens and markers, resin supplies, easels and specialty brushes, just pretty much anything you can think of we have sorted out into these lockers. This first room is kind of, for the most part, our clean room. I use this for assembly. I use this when I'm working with the different computers and doing software design. I have some hand tools out here, but for the most part, this is for the cleaner processes that don't generate as much dust. And from the technology side, in front of these windows here, we have a drop-down screen with a ceiling-mounted projector. So whether we're teaching a class or we just want to watch a movie, we can do that here, and the projector is bright enough that it will work in the middle of the day and you can see it just fine. It also goes through our central sound system with speakers mounted in the ceiling. Alright, so this room tends to be the room that we end up hanging out the most in and doing most of the filming in, because it's just a big open space and it lends itself well to that. Because of that, we have some hand tools over here, but for the most part, these are just, screwdrivers, scissors, things that we're gonna need all the time just to keep it so we don't need to be walking back and forth from the different rooms as much. We have two big whiteboards that can be used for planning in addition to the screen. And then over here, we have a cutting table set up, and this also doubles as our little electronic station where we have our electronics components and wiring and soldering irons and things like that. Over on this side, we have our large format photo printer. It's an Epson P6000, and the quality and speed of this thing is fantastic. It can print on virtually any substance, and it does just a really great job. Over here, we then have our little technology cart. We have 6 MacBook Airs that are fully equipped with programs like the Adobe Suite and Fusion 360 and different design softwares, as well as a little fleet of iPads there that also have they're just loaded full of design softwares for people to use. All right, and then over here, it's looking a little messy right now because we just finished kind of shifting around the entire shop before this. But this is our heat press, and when paired with our vinyl cutter, it can transfer the heat transfer material onto things like t-shirts. We made this t-shirt that I'm wearing with it, and we do a lot of work like that with that. All right, let's go check out the wood shop. So this is where we do most of our fabrication work, and you can see behind me we have our DeWalt FlexVolt system. We have, the planer, jigsaw, multi-tool, nail gun, circular saw, and pretty much anything that you could possibly want out of that. And then over here we have our router table. This is a relatively new addition. It's been a very nice thing to have. Our Laguna 1412 bandsaw, which can handle pretty good resawing. It can do up to 14-inch resaws, and this one's a workhorse, and I would definitely recommend these. Over here we have a carving station set up with our flex shaft, and this can be used for carving, cutting, whatever you can use a flex shaft for. This is where we do it. And then that's followed by our larger tabletop sanders and our scroll saw. Up on our wall control boards, we have all the incidentals for the different tools that are housed beneath the boards. All right, continuing around, we have our floor standing drill press here. This is a pretty good workhorse. We did upgrade the chuck so that it has a keyless chuck, and that has made short work of changing bits and has been a good time saver. And then over here we have our Supermax 1938. This is absolutely hands down one of my favorite tools that I own. It makes really quick work of resurfacing large pieces up to 38 inches wide, and it just saves a ton of time. We have a planer which is housed over here next to our benchtop joiner. But since getting this, we have barely needed to use the planer. This is just the go-to tool, whether we're resurfacing something small or large. This can do up to 38 inches wide and pretty small as well. This is a great tool. Over here we have just a small little work table for now. We're still in the process of renovating slightly, so this will be getting a saw stop eventually and an outfeed table here, outfeed assembly table here. But for right now, this is what we're working with, and we tend to do a lot of the assembly out in the main room while we are in that transition process. All right, one of the other features that I love about our Woodshop is that we recently installed a new dust collection system. It's fully automatic, and it goes to units through the floor in the basement, which really helps to minimize the noise. And we will have a build video coming up on that installation at some point in the future. Over here we have a welding corner that we're still in the process of refining and getting set up, but it is functional as of now. And then next to it, this isn't the normal home for it, but we have a Festool dust collector that we use for all of our hand sanding things, our rotary sanders, handheld belt sanders and things like that. This does a great job of minimizing the dust, and it rolls around so we can put it wherever we want it, and we can even bring it from room to room. All right, let's keep going. And this hallway leads to our digital fabrication room. And in this hallway, we have some slabs stored here. These are, just what we use for projects, and then we also sell some of those as well. And then on this side we have a little kitchenette area, full-size refrigerator, toaster oven, dishwasher, K-cup maker, and then we have our sink area. And then around this corner is where a lot of the fun tools live. As we first come in, we have an Artemis 300 3D printer. This has a pretty big build plate volume, and we can make some pretty sizable things at relatively quick speeds with this guy here. Underneath it, we have a Carvey, which my understanding is Inventables is no longer making. It's small, but as a machine, I think that this was Inventables' best machine that they made, hands down. So I'm really disappointed that they discontinued making these. It has a small build plate volume, but it is pretty powerful, reasonably quick for a small CNC router, and we've never had an issue with it. All right, continuing over here, we have our first laser. This is the Glowforge Pro. We have a referral code that we'll link down below if you're thinking about getting one. I do recommend this highly if it's your first laser. This one, you will be making your first laser cuts within 10 minutes of opening the box, and it does a pretty good job. It's fairly powerful for its size and class, and the ease of use is just really great with this one here. I do, however, we have the Pro, and I do recommend the Plus over the Pro. The only difference to the Pro is that it has this pass-through slot, which supposedly lets you work on larger items, but I have found that registering things as you slide it through is very difficult, and I have never once used this feature successfully. Over here we have our glue up table, And we have a ventilation hood here. Behind it we have all of our kind of standard finishes and different assortments of glues. And then continuing around, we have our Roland GS24 vinyl cutter, which I have to say, I love this machine. I didn't think that I would use this as much as I do, but I use this for everything from making these labels for the tools to the heat transfer process for making these shirts. It's actually a pretty versatile machine and has a lot of widespread uses. Here we have our Fabool Laser DS, but this is a little bit deceiving because this is not really a Fabool anymore. Some of our members assembled this for us, and in that process they ended up stripping out all of the standard stock electronics that came with it, and they completely replaced all of it. We will be doing a blog post on that entire process if you have any interest in the details of that. But that's going to be a little bit coming because it just takes time to write it. And underneath we have our 1000mm X-Carve. We've built this enclosure for it, which keeps all of the dust in. And in my opinion, out of all the tools that we have, this is the one that I would be least likely to recommend. I find that the use of the belts makes it so that it's just a pain to keep square and to get a good cut with. It takes a lot of extra maintenance over a lot of our other tools. We do have an exciting new 1000mm tool coming in August called the Long Mill, and they've replaced a lot of the flimsier parts in their version with the lead screws, which should make it a lot more stable. So a couple other features that you may have noticed as we were kind of going around the space is that throughout the space we have all these wall control boards. I have found that these are just the most versatile and durable solution for shop organization that I have yet to find. They hang up very easily. They are sheet metal, so they will last forever, and you can constantly readjust them. When combined with the 3D printer, you can even make custom pegboard parts that can be used to make it so that it can do literally whatever you want it to do. Alright, thanks for checking out the shop, and until next time, I'm Michael, and this is Maker's Workshop. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out.